Today I'm going to share with you the easiest way to close consistent wholesale deals without cold calling, without expensive lead generation strategies, and without lowballing sellers. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Brian Haskins. I've been investing in real estate for the last 23 years, and I help busy wholesalers close consistent wholesale deals working just 2 to 3 focused hours per day. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you the 3 things that you need to build a successful wholesaling business. It really boils down to these 3 things. First, you need leads. Second, you need buyers. And you need a simple process to convert those leads into high profit deals. I'll break them down for you one by one. First, let's talk about leads. Most wholesalers struggle to close consistent deals because they're taught to be deal creators. When you do deals as a deal creator, you're stuck chasing sellers, trying to get them to sell at deep discounts. To find these deals, you have to spend all your time and money on things like cold calling, SMS marketing, and direct mail. These strategies require expensive lists, expensive skip tracing, hours every single day cold calling, and sending direct mail every single day. It's very expensive, very time consuming. But even when using these strategies, most people still have the exact same problem. They tell me that the sellers they find aren't motivated. None of them are willing to accept their low offer. They can't make enough calls each day to get enough leads to put deals together, and they're spending all their time and money still getting no results. The reason why is pretty simple. It's because 90% of these people on these motivated seller lists don't actually want to sell their house. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy because someone in pre-foreclosure, maybe behind on their taxes, isn't ready to sell their house, but that is the reality of most of the people on this list. Most of them want to stay in their house and are not open to an offer. So imagine, let's say you set aside 3 hours per day for lead generation, and you have a $1,000 per month marketing budget. If you were to do those lead generation strategies where you're chasing these motivated sellers that don't want to sell, before you ever get started, take $900 of your budget, 2 hours and 45 minutes of your time every single day, that's going to completely vanish. You're left with only $100 and only 15 minutes per day to talk with people who are even remotely interested in selling or hearing your offer. And that doesn't even mean that they're going to sell at a discount, but that's the reality that most wholesalers face. It's not to say that those lead generation strategies don't work, because they absolutely can. The problem is that most wholesalers can't invest enough time and money to close deals using those strategies because they're based on very heavy volume, which requires a lot of time and money that most people don't have when they're first getting started. Smart wholesalers know that if you want to close consistent deals without cold calling, without spending all your money and time on lead generation, you want to stop trying to create deals and instead become a deal sorter, which I'm going to share with you exactly how to do in the rest of this video. In every single city across the country, there are tons of leads that have already raised their hand and said they want to sell their house. Imagine if 100% of the people that you reach out to actually wanted to sell their house, compared to the 10% of those leads on those motivated seller lists that you're currently spending all your time and money building. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how we can save time and money by sorting deals and cherry picking the very best ones versus chasing leads and being a deal creator. So there's 2 main ways to find opportunities or people that have already raised their hand and said they want to sell. One way, which you probably already heard of, is what we call inbound leads. That's where we put marketing out and people reach out to us. Things like billboards, TV, radio, pay-per-click campaigns. These are all great ways to generate inbound leads. But for most new investors or people that aren't really established in the business, these are things that are going to be way too expensive. So these are not great ways to start, but they are a great way to kind of scale and grow your business. What I prefer is a strategy that I developed called shadow listings. We get off-market fixer-upper properties directly from a realtor. I'm going to explain what that means here in just a little bit. But shadow listings are a great way to do deals because 90% of homes are sold through a realtor. So think about it like this. Before, you were building lists of motivated sellers where less than 10% of them want to sell. Now we're sorting through leads where 100% of the people want to sell, and we have access to 90% of the deals that are out there. So this is some data that I pulled up from the National Association of Realtors. This is not made up numbers. This is what they reported for this year. 91% of homes that are sold through a real estate agent. Okay, so that means basically about 9% of homes are sold off market. 5% of those transactions that are sold off market are sold for sale by owner, things like Zillow, things like that. So that means that basically 4% of homes are sold direct to an investor. If only 4% of homes are sold direct to an investor, wouldn't you rather go after where 91% of the homes are being sold? So that way you have more opportunity, more great deals that you can pick from. Now, I know some of you are going to say, I don't want to work with agents. I've tried working with agents in the past. When it comes to working with agents, most people make 2 big mistakes. The first big mistake that they make is that they go after the wrong agents to work with. 75% of agents, or people that have the real estate license, never do a single deal. Those are not the kind of agents that are going to have opportunities that they can send your way. When I move into a new market and work with a student, one of the first things we do is we identify the active agents in the area. These are the top 1 to 3% of agents that have multiple listings. Some of them have 10, 15, 20, over 100 listings at one time. Those are the types of agents that are actually going to have the ability to be able to send us referrals. The second biggest mistake that most wholesalers make when they reach out to agents is that they think they're going to be able to get those leads for free. Those agents, just like you, are building a business, they're building their reputation. They are not going to want to work for free. When I work with an agent, they get paid their full real estate commission. So if you tried working with agents in the past, thinking that they're just going to send you over free leads, and maybe you'll send them over properties that don't fit your criteria, that is not the way that agents are going to want to structure deals. Now, again, everything that I base my business on is based on what do the numbers tell us. And let's take a look at what the actual numbers break down on doing a deal with a shadow listing lead generation strategy versus something like cold calling. With cold calling, you're going to get about a 3 to 5% contact rate. So that means that for every 100 people that you dial, you're only going to talk to 3 to 5 of those people. So that's a lot of work for a very small result. And then of those people that you do talk to, less than 10% of them are even going to be open to hearing an offer. So based on all those dials and those people that you talk to, it's going to take you about 30 to 40 of those people to be able to put one deal together. So on average, it's going to take you somewhere between about 8 and 10,000 dials to get one deal. So if you break that down, that's hundreds of dials every single day to be able to put one deal together. It's not very realistic that most wholesalers are going to be able to do that. Now with the shadow listing strategy, we get an 80% contact rate. So think about that. 8 out of 10 people that we reach out to, we talk to, from there, 30% of those send us a lead. All right, so 1 in 3 of those send us an actual lead that we can work. It takes about 1 in 40 of those leads that we can sort to convert into a deal. So we talked about 5 to 7 agents per day. We're going to be able to get one deal per month versus 8 to 10,000 dials per day for cold calling. Again, the math is what we consider whenever we're looking at building a business that's going to be significantly easier for us to run. So now we've talked about the leads, let's talk about buyers. Because again, once we find the opportunity, we have to be able to make sure that we've got a buyer for our deals. Now I do things a little bit different when it comes to buyers. It's not just about identifying who the buyers are in your market, but it's about finding the right buyers for your deals. The reason why that matters so much is because most wholesalers think that the money is made when they find the deal. That's what we're taught, right? The money's made when you buy, but not in wholesaling. And let me explain why. It's very difficult to consistently find sellers who are going to accept offers at 50 or 60% of the value of their home. That's just not realistic for someone to be able to do that consistently. And that's why in wholesaling, the deals are created and the money is made when we find the right buyers to sell our deals to. Let me say that again. The money is made when we find the right buyers to sell our deals to. And the reason why is because not all buyers are created equal. Let me show you what I mean here. So let's take 2 buyers that have different ideas of what they're going to do with houses and show you just how different the offer is going to be. So buyer number 1, let's just say that they're going to buy that home, they're going to fix it up, and they're going to rehab it. Those people are taking on more risk, so they need to buy the home at a deeper discount. They're putting the work in, they're going to have unexpected expenses, most likely they're going to have very expensive loans in the property. So to be able to flip that home and make all their profit up front, they're trying to offset their risk. So they're going to make an offer at a deeper discount. So let's just say that we're using 2 equal homes, both would sell for about $250,000. So if we were to use this flipper buyer, let's say that they're going to buy the home at 65%, the value of the home minus repairs. So their offer would be $162,500 minus repairs. And again, they're going to estimate repairs on the high side. So let's just say $60,000 in repairs. So their maximum allowable offer would be $102,500. That's what they could offer on a $250,000 house. Now for us to make our money, let's just say that we want to make a $10,000 profit. We now have to find a seller that is willing to accept an offer on a home that's worth $250,000, $92,500. That's extremely difficult to do. But now let's take a look at a different buyer in our market that we could sell our deal to, and let's take a look at what those numbers shake out to be. So again, same property, $250,000. Let's just say that this particular buyer doesn't need to make all their profit up front on the deal. Let's say they're going to keep it as a rental. So they're going to make money over time plus appreciation. So they're going to make an offer at 80% of the value of the home. So that would be an offer at $200,000. Let's just say that they're going to look at repairs differently because, again, they don't need to fix that home up and put all the nicest features in to resell it. They're going to basically just fix it up and get the home ready. So they're going to save $15,000 on repairs. So right off the bat, we can see here that the old offer would have been $102,500. Right now, we're looking at $185,000 for this particular buyer. Now, let's just say that we want to make our profit, and we can double the amount of profit that we want to make in that deal. Let's just say that we want to make $20,000 instead of that $10,000. So if we were to work with this buyer who's willing to pay 80% of ARV, keep that home, maybe do a little bit of work to it, and keep it as a rental, they're going to make an offer at $165,000 on that particular property compared to $92,500. Now let me ask you this: how much easier would it be for you to be able to get a seller to accept an offer at $165,000 compared to getting them to accept an offer for $92,500? Obviously, this is going to be significantly easier. And the cool thing is that not only are we able to offer significantly more on that deal, but you're able to get double the profit. So this is the power of understanding who the buyers are in your market that you actually want to sell deals to. Now, here's the cool thing. We didn't have to learn any creative financing strategies that are super complicated or novations or do anything weird. We're simply just identifying the buyers in our market that are willing to pay a little more for deals. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. There aren't buyers like that in my market. My market is different. Well, I can assure you that there's investors like that in every single market. I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm going to share with you a couple different markets that you would think are very competitive, where buyers are going to be looking to buy houses at deep discounts, and show you just how much some investors are willing to pay for deals. So let's take a look at that right now. To show you just how different buyers are and what they're willing to pay and what they actually pay for deals, I wanted to give you some really quick examples. So you can use any tool that you want. I use a tool called PropStream to be able to pull a list of sold investment properties in my area. I did this in 3 different markets I'm going to give you an example with, and I just did about 200 to 300 properties for each example. So this is basically what's going on right now in my market in the last 2 to 3 months. So we're going to use a tool that I developed called my AI engine. Now, I have more videos on this that are going to come a little bit later, but this is a tool that I've developed through AI that I use with my students to be able to take buyer information and to be able to map it out. So I'm going to do 3 different counties for you right now to show you that I'm uploading sold property data. It's taking that sold property data and it's going to help us find the buyers that are buying consistently and paying the most. So I uploaded 477 total record. This is from Maricopa County, which is a county that's very competitive, what most people would say. So what we can see here is, on average, investors in this market, so this is every single sold property. I'm not picking and choosing. This is every single sold investor property. 97% on average is what they're paying for deals. So I have our top 5 buyers in this market. These are the people that are buying multiple properties. So in like a 2-month time frame, they bought 3 properties, 2 properties. They're paying over ARV on deals. Now, if we scroll down here, these are the tier 2 buyers, or the people that bought properties pretty consistently. We can see here, look at these numbers. Okay, so obviously you have buyers that are paying less, but you've got a significant amount of buyers that are willing to pay more. This is in one of the most concentrated, competitive markets in the country. All right, let's do another one. I'll give you another example here. Let's do another area that is super competitive right now. Let's do Wake County. All right, I uploaded Wake County. Let's go ahead and look at the same information here. So we can see in Wake County, 455 total records. On average, buyers are paying 89.70%. Now, in the example where I showed you buyers that were paying 65% and 80%, on average, buyers are paying 89% in this market. So we can see top 5 buyers that bought properties here. This is what they pay, the average percent of ARV. Then we have here the average percent of ARV for the top 20 buyers in this market. Look at that. Now, any buyer that bought multiple properties, we can see right here how many times they purchased. The average percent, obviously we got buyers that are paying 70%. You got buyers that are paying less. You got buyers that are willing to pay more. This is the power that you have when we look at factual data about your market. All right, let's do one more market. I'm going to do Hartford, Connecticut, which is one of the most competitive real estate markets in the country right now. All right, buyers on average are paying 77% of ARV. But look, we have buyers here that are paying 100% of ARV, 84, 90, 91. These are buyers that are buying deals consistently, okay? You have here, tier 2 buyers. Look at this. All the buyers in this market that are buying multiple deals, look at that, the different swings they have here. So you wouldn't want to sell to these buyers that are paying for less, We choose to sell to the buyers that are willing to pay more for deals. They are in every single market. You just have to use information from your market data, sold properties, to be able to find them. All right, so now that you know that these buyers actually exist in all markets, do you think if we were to reach out to these buyers, would they be willing to buy deals from us if it fit their buying criteria? Absolutely. But I want to share with you one very important step that makes this super easy. This is advice that I got early on in my career that's made me more money than anything else. And this is directly for your wholesaling business. Think about this. It's easier to sell people more of what they're already buying than it is to sell them what you have. Let me say that again. It's easier to sell people more of what they're already buying than it is to sell them what you already have. Most wholesalers have always been told a deal is a deal. Find a deal and buyers are going to be there. And that is absolutely not always true. A buyer is going to pay more for what they want and what they already know works for them. And this is the reason why we want to identify what our market demand is or what the investors in our market are buying, because again, it's significantly easier to sell someone more of what they're already buying than it is to sell them what we have. Most wholesalers just think, if I find any deal, I'm going to be able to find a buyer. And that is just not the case. If you do find a buyer for that particular deal, typically they're going to make you an offer at significantly less because, again, they're taking a risk. We want to eliminate the risk for those buyers so we can make the most amount of profit. So why is a buy box important? Well, think about it like this. We know who the buyers are in our market that are buying deals consistently and paying more than anybody else. Now we know, based on the buy box, what the most profitable deals are these buyers are already buying and what they want to buy more of. This is going to make it way easier for you to sell those deals, but you're also going to be able to sell these deals for top dollar. So let's take a look at exactly what a buy box looks like, what information is important so you can use that to make more profit on your deals. All right, so let's take a look at our buy box information. So here's the thing. Again, I'm using my AI engine. This is one of the tools that I developed using AI to help my students out. My students get access to this, but I'm going to share with you how we can ultimately create a simple buy box. I'm going to go ahead and upload one of the buyers lists that I pulled earlier. We'll do Hartford, Connecticut. So this right here is going to generate a report for us. This report tells us 223 total records. We can see that there's 42 zip codes in that area. The first thing we notice is that there's a very high concentration of investor-bought properties in a very small amount of zip codes. So that tells us that down here, very few investors are buying in these zip codes. So that means we want to concentrate our focus in these areas where the investors are buying. We can also see things like square feet. This is really important. Most of the people are buying properties 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, and then over 2,500 square feet. And we can also see here that they're buying properties built between 1901 and it looks like about 1970. That seems to be kind of that sweet spot. We can see here 50% are buying 3 bedrooms. So if you do 3 bedroom plus, you come down here and we look at 1 bathroom plus. So these are older homes. That's the reason why. But this is what we call our buy box. This tells us exactly what these investors are buying and what they want to buy more of. Again, it's significantly easier to sell people more of what they're already buying than it is to sell them what you have. How much easier would it be to sell people properties in the zip code that fit this criteria than trying to sell buyers in these areas properties that they do not want? This is the power of the buy box. All right, so now that you've seen how we identify the buyers in our market that are buying deals consistently and paying the most, and we can figure out exactly what those investors are looking for so we can find the most profitable deals, I want to recap everything because we've come a long way. Here are some of the things that you now know. Before, you have to build expensive lists to be able to put deals together, skip trace thousands of leads, which costs a ton of money, spend all your time cold calling people that less than 10% of them actually want to sell, hope that one of them accepts your low offer, and then hope that you did everything right, cross your fingers, and hope that you can find a buyer that's actually going to close on your deals. Whereas now, as a deal sorter, we've already found the people who want to sell. We know exactly which buyers are going to pay the most for deals in our market. We know exactly what those buyers are already buying and what they want to buy more of. We now know how to sort those deals and cherry pick the best opportunities so we can make strong offers with confidence and still sell our deals for up to double the profits. This simple little shift in the way that we approach things is going to take you from trying to be a deal creator to a deal sorter. So now let's take a look at the third step that we need to build a successful wholesaling business, and that is converting those leads into high profit deals. We need an easy way to be able to do this consistently. So let's talk a little bit more about what it takes to convert deals as a deal sorter. So in the past, you had to make lowball offers to sellers, hope they would accept it, hope that you found a deal that your buyers were interested in, hope that you got it at a good enough price, and then hope that your buyer would close on that deal. That's a lot of guessing and a lot of hoping that things work out. Now, when we build a business based on data, we already know who our buyer is going to be for that particular deal. We know exactly what they're willing to pay for that deal. We can make stronger offers to sellers, which is going to get them to accept it, and we can still sell our deal for monster profits. No more lowballing sellers, no more hard negotiating with sellers trying to convince them to sell their house, no more chasing sellers that aren't motivated, following up endlessly to never get that deal, no more looking for those unicorn deals, those people that are willing to sell at super deep discounts, no more contracting properties too high, not being able to find a buyer, and then not being able to sell your deals at all. Using my deal sorter method, closing deals is as easy as knowing the right buyers in your market, reverse engineering what they're already buying to find their buy box, sorting through leads that already exist, and then converting those leads into high profit deals. Traditional wholesaling depends on finding those unicorn motivated sellers, which are few and far between. This system depends on sorting opportunities that already exist in your own market right now. So your new business model is identify the right buyers, map out their buy box, sort existing deal opportunities, make confident offers based on buyer history, and then convert those into high profit deals. And the best part is, once the system is built, your business becomes surprisingly simple. Every day, you're only focusing on three things: finding the right opportunities, talking with buyers and sellers, and making offers. Everything else just simply supports those three activities. So I know we've covered a lot of information, and by now you're probably rethinking everything that you thought you knew about wholesaling. And let me tell you one thing, after 23 years, it's never been easier to close consistent wholesale deals. We changed the idea of trying to create our own deals to just sorting opportunities that already exist. I've developed a way to work with students to actually install this exact same model in their business. I put together a 12-month program that's kind of a hybrid where I actually build everything out with you over Zoom, but then also work side by side with you to implement these strategies and convert those leads into deals. I call it the Momentum Accelerator, and I'd love to tell you a little bit more about it. Right below this video, there's going to be a button or a link that you can click on. It's going to take you to another page. And on that page, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about the Momentum Accelerator. You'll be able to get all the details of the program, the investment costs, and everything that it takes to actually operate this. And if it's something that you want to do, you'll be able to work right alongside me to install this exact same system in your business. So go ahead and click the link right below this video. Go ahead and find out a little bit more about the Momentum Accelerator. And I look forward to helping you close consistent wholesale deals.